This morning I had a vision and I saw really hard, tired, dry ground. I knew immediately that this ground was ground that had been toiled for many years, but what struck me was there weren't any cracks in the ground from the toiling. The only cracks in the ground had come from the depth of the hardness and dryness of that ground. I then heard the Lord say, "Much has been taking place underground." The Lord then gave me sight of what had been taking place underground. I began to see with every partnership with the Lord to toil this ground, from faith, to declaration, to obedience, to building, to continuing to stand, every moment of partnership was seeing a small rumble begin to happen underground. I then heard the Lord say, "Much has been taking place underground that you have not yet seen." Suddenly, the rumble started to get stronger and stronger, and a small seed came into my vision. I saw this small golden seed under the ground beginning to grow. The Lord spoke again. "The enemy has come hard against this ground and against this seed because of the magnitude of the move of my Spirit in this very hard, dry-grounded area." The seed came into my view again, and this time I heard Luke 17:6 resounding. And the Lord said, "If you have a confident, abiding of faith in God, even as small as a mustard seed, you could say to this mulberry tree, which has very strong roots, be pulled up by the roots and be planted in the sea, and if the request was in agreement with the will of God, it would have obeyed you." Amp. I knew in that moment that many had been standing on these dry grounds expecting breakthrough, and to see it crack open, but the time and time again, of lack of seeing movement, momentum, or the breaking open of this dry ground had left them so discouraged and weary. But the Lord was encouraging them to continue in faith even as small as a mustard seed, because there was much happening in the agreement with what He was going to do, that has not yet been seen. He then spoke again. "Much more than you could ever imagine has been taking place underground and under the surface." I looked into the ground and Ephesians 3:20 was all around. Exceedingly abundantly more was all around. My vision was now lifted back to the top of the ground where it was hard and dry, and suddenly there was a mighty shaking, and the ground began to crack. This time the ground was cracking from the shaking, and suddenly it opened up, and I saw the largest clusters of grapes I had ever seen begin to spring up from the ground. The Lord spoke again. Here it is. Explosive fruitfulness. It was explosive fruitful harvest. I then heard the Lord say, "These hard, dry, barren places are turning to places of extreme explosive fruitfulness suddenly. Much has been taking place underground, but now is the time to see the fruit that I am bringing forth. For from these now fruitful places will flow a tidal wave of my Spirit, releasing an outpouring that is far beyond what could have been imagined or hoped for. For my people got weary and discouraged over these hard, dry, and barren grounds, but by the power of my Spirit and faith, these grounds are now suddenly cracking open and becoming places of the greatest outpourings of my Spirit that has been seen before." To those of you who have found yourselves in the places of discouragement, weariness, and hopelessness over the hard ground without seeing any breakthrough, take heart. Expect explosive fruitfulness, for it is upon you, and get ready to steward a mighty tidal wave of outpouring of His Spirit from the very area the enemy has used over and over again to taunt you and cage you in discouragement and despair. The tidal wave of His mighty outpouring is beginning to flow as this dry ground cracks open, revealing unprecedented explosive fruitfulness from which His new wine will flow.